All right, boys and girls, today's lesson 7, 3-7. And basically what we're doing today is we're going to kind of look at, I guess I'm going to talk about why things are happening in division and actually throw some problems that might be considered wrong and explain to you why they're wrong and what they might have done wrong or how they could have done it differently. So I'm going to start with a problem with doing it the digit by digit way. Now this isn't really a problem, but say I do 4 to go into, or I guess I should say 4,654 divided by 4. So 4 goes into 4. I'm just trying to. I want to change something. I want to change this to a 3. That'll make it a little easier. So actually, I'm going to change it to a 2. See, I'm able to do that here. Okay, so 4 can't go into 2. So I know some of us in here have talked about how when it can't go into 2, you could put a 0 and do 0 times 4 and make it bring down equals 2. Then you bring this 6 down. You could do that, or you could just skip the 0 altogether and just go for a 2-digit here and put the divisor or put the quotient above the 6. However you want to do it. I like teaching like this because then we go by every single step. That tells you there's 0 thousands in it. 0 thousands times 4. So we get 26. If I know 4 can go 26 5 times. So if I do 5, it gives me 20. I get 6 left over. And then my 5 falls down. And then some of you are going to look at this like say, well, hold up. 4 can go into 65 over 10 times. How can I put 10 up here? If I put 10 up there, I'm going to have a huge number. So what you need to do, what you need to realize here, is that when you have 6 left over, this number is still higher than the 4. From the divisor. So that tells you, heck, I could go up at least one more time. So say I do 6 instead. If I do 6 instead of 5, 6 times 4 is 24, and that gives me not 6 left over, it gives me a 2 left over. Now that number is smaller than the divisor, so that means I can continue finally. Okay? And I get 25, and I know 4 can go, and again, 6 times to 24, gives me 1, and the last digit falls down, 14, and 4 times 3 is 12, with a remainder of 2. So I should have a 663 with a remainder of 2. By doing it this method, you do have to get all these digits exact. Okay, if you do a different method, if you do the expanded notation method, and do 2,654 divided by 4, you could do 500 to start, and it tells you that equals 2,000 equals 654, and then you could do another 100 here to make it 600 times 4. I'm sorry, 100 times 4 to equal 400 gives you 154 left over. Okay, you're kind of on the same track, because here you had to have 6 in the hundreds place. Here you could do 100 and then 500. That equals 600 in the hundreds place. So that's the advantages and disadvantages, I guess, of each way. I mean, I like this way because you're able to build above it. Obviously, I do it the digit by digit method because that's how I did it when I was little, and I'm quicker at it. And then the 7 method that we talk about, with the partial quotients method, is nice too because you can do the same. You're actually doing the same as this, but you're building it on the side. Okay, so let's finish this out. 4 can go into 150. We'll say, let's say 30 times. 30 times. Put 30 up there. So that gives me 120. But the problem is here, boys and girls, if you look, I subtracted wrong again. I think I did in yesterday's lesson too. 4, 5, it should be 2 here. But I can still do 30. And I can subtract it, and I get 4, and 3, and a 1. And then I can do 30 again if I want. Okay, to give me 120, and it gives me my 14 left over. And then I know 4 times 3 is 12, and I subtract it, I get 2. So my remainder is 2, and then I just add all these, which is pretty easy because if you line them up properly, you just go 3, 6, 6. So 663. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about when you have a 0 in your quotient. Okay, that means a 0 in your answer. Okay, I want to do, let's do 1,842 divided by 6. Bring it down a little bit. When you have a 0 in your quotient, it's very important to put the 0 in your quotient. Don't just say, oh, it doesn't go in, I'm going to skip it, because it changes your number dramatically. So I'm going to have you look at the first thing here. You know 6 doesn't go into 1, so I'm just going to do a 0 here. 0 times 6 is 0. Bring down the 1 and make it 18. Okay, you know 18 divided by 6 equals 3. Pretty easy. You've done that a million times. Probably not a million, but a lot. It gives you 0. So then the 4 falls down. And then you ask yourself, can 4 be divided by 6? Okay? And you know it can't, because 4 is less than 6. So you can't divide it by 6. So what you have to do is you have to make sure you put a 0 here. Okay? And if you want to multiply it by 0 to get 0 to bring the 4 down, and then the 2 comes down and meets up with it, you can. But you have to put that 0 in. It's extremely important. Because now 4 times 7, we all know, is 42. It gives me no remainder. Put my 7 there. My answer is 307. If you don't put that 0 in and you just say, oh, it's 3, and nothing goes in there, and then you have 7. And then when you get done, you multiply 37 times 6. It gives you 42. Put the 4 up there. 18, 22. Your answer is 222. And it should be 1,842. Not even close. Because that 0 pushes everything over. Okay? It pushes everything over because it makes it 42. Put the 4 up here. 0 times 6 is 0 plus 4. And then you have your 3 times 6 is 18. And that equals the 1,842. So today was kind of a short lesson, but this I'm actually know what I'll do. I'll take this 6,142 and I'll do it the 7 method, or the partial quotients, because each of these are part of the answer, partial quotient. Okay, I'm going to go 6 times, let's do 300. That'll give me 1,800. I'm going to chop it right down early here. 2, 4, and then 6 times 7 is 42. It gives me 0. Look at that. Just like that, I have my answer of 307. Okay, and let me do this. Let's do the partial sums. So actually, the place value sections method. I call it a partial sums. It should be place value section method. The square method. 1,842. We'll do 4 boxes only because it does have 4 digits. Even though you know your 6 is not going to go into 1,482 1,000 times. But let's just do it the right way. Plus how many hundreds, plus how many tens, plus how many ones. So I know the lowest that I could have here is 1,000, and 1,000 times 6 is 6,000. That is way too high. So I'm going to erase that, and I'm just going to say there are 0 thousands inside 1,802, or 0 thousands times 6. Because there's 1,000, but nothing times 6. That gives me 0. 0 times 6 is 0. 1,842, and that rolls over to the next one. And now I'm going to tell myself how many hundreds times 6 will get me close to 100 or 1,842. Actually, it's not close. It's how many will get me there. And I can just look at the 2 digits here and see that it's 18. Okay? So I know 3 100s will give me 1,800. Subtract it, I get 42. Put 42 in the next box. How many 10s times 6 will get me 42? Well, my first 10 times 6 will be 1 10 times 6. And 1 10 times 6 is 60. And that's too high. So there are 0 10s times 6 inside 42. So this gives me 42, because I'm not subtracting anything. I'm subtracting 0. This goes over to the next box. 6 can go into 42 7 times. Pretty easy. Multiply it, you get 0. There's no remainder. You add all this up, you get 307. Do not forget to put that in there. Okay, you can put a 0 before it if you want. Doesn't matter. Pretty pointless at the beginning. But when it's in the middle, you have to put that 0, and this is so important. All right, so continue working on your workbook pages. We have a lot for this unit, and it's not a big deal if we get them all done. But definitely something to work on. Keep you busy.